Alright, here we are in the next game. I would like to play first. I'll keep this hand. Yeah, etched, cranial, pretty good. Graph diggers to help stop any flashbacks. This card might be too narrow, but um, Lingering Souls just stops me pretty hard. It's a very good card. And we do have etched and cranial, so just one more mana source and we are all set here. My opponent might be wondering why I decided to play Graph Diggers. Maybe they think I think they're playing Pod, but nope, just for Lingering Souls. Oh no, this isn't good. If they thought seize. Okay, so I assume that my opponent will take cranial plating here. That's champion, okay. Thought cast. I'll go ahead and play it in case my opponent has another form of disruption here. Cranial plating, I mean. In case my opponent has another thought seize or an inquisition, I would rather just go ahead and get the cranial on the table. And the next turn, we can set ourselves up for a nice, healthy thought seize and equip cranial plating to, well, depending what my opponent does, Midnight or Ornithopter. That's not encouraging. Let's go ahead and lead off with Thoughtcast. Whip Flare and Arcbound is good. Let's maximize our damage here as well as kill off our non-flying creature if my opponent has removal. Drawing the Whip Flare was good because now we have an answer to, looks like an Abrupt Decay, probably on my Cranial. Yep, I'm okay with that though. Looks like I got an Arcbound in my hand. And we have a Whip Flare, so if my opponent deploys a Lingering Souls next turn, although I don't know, maybe I'll go ahead and play the Arcbound, even if my opponent does play a Lingering Souls. Because I'll only be getting it for 1 damage otherwise. Double black for Tech Edge, or into Tech Edge, possibly a Liliana. Fulminator Mage, okay. So my opponent can get rid of my colored source. So in this case, I am going to go ahead and play Arcbound. Go ahead and tap him for a Springleaf, and pass the turn. Next turn, going to attack with Arcbound. So my opponent has a lot of land destruction. But right now, I have the Springleaf, so I do not care if I lose the Glimmer Void. I actually did kind of need that Cranial. So now if my opponent duresses, that's very bad for me. Because now if my opponent has Lingering Souls, looks like they might. Looks like a Liliana. Interesting that they duress my opponent duressed first. Well, sacrifice the Midnight. Well, that was fortuitous. I'll play another Midnight. How greedy do I want to get here with Arcbound? Let's see. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Arcbound. But I think I want to get that Liliana off the table. Just go ahead and make this a little unprofitable for my opponent. My opponent does block Arcbound, and I'm not really ready to lose him yet. Sacking both my Spring Leaf seems okay, even though my opponent has a Fulminator Mage, which I'm sure will blow it up. But I would rather do that than lose another creature at this point. So now I say goodbye to Glimmervoid, I'm sure. But that leaves me with 3 creatures on the table, and my opponent with only 1 card in hand. So I select the position I'm in. My opponent cannot make me discard a card. If they wish to take Liana, they will be the only ones discarding here, and it will be their last card in the hand. Although Tarmogoyf is pretty good. Inkmoth Nexus. Let's go ahead and play it. 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I have 6. Guess I'll just swing all Liliana. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Seems very risky, though. Well, that's actually okay. I can just sacrifice Midnight to Arcbound. Now my opponent has a Planeswalker and a 6/7, but I'm not too worried as I'm still at 20 life. Let's see what my opponent top decks. If it's another Liliana, I'm in trouble, but hopefully it's a land. Something silly. Oh, wow. That was incredibly lucky on my opponent's part there. But we'll go ahead and take out Liliana. So my opponent cannot attack with Tarmogoyf, which is good. I have less time than my opponent, which is bad. I am also 1 land away from my opponent's Tectonic Edge being activated, so I'd rather not draw any more of those. Drawing a Thoughtcast here would be pretty good. Gee, it's really up to whatever my opponent is drawing over there. I'll take 6. My opponent probably has another blocker at the ready here, otherwise I can't see that being a good play. Oh, and they have a Treetop. Maybe another Tarmogoyf? That's going to make my life a little harder. So, again, another very fortunate top deck for my opponent there. So my opponent, I had him sort of under the gun, and he had two very fortunate top decks, but that's the way Magic goes. Like just twice, exactly. What was needed. I don't see myself getting out of this. If I draw an Etched Champion, then maybe. If I draw an Etched Champion, I can stabilize. I can buy myself another 2 turns off of my Inkmoth Nexi. So I essentially have 3 more turns here. Sorry, that's my phone. Well, now I no longer have that kind of time. So, all right, let's just go ahead and concede. All right, I'll probably play one more. I'll see you guys in the next match here.